All right, guys, let's celebrate. We did it.
What did we do?
Yeah, we finished our fourth. We are coming into our last session for our very first fundamentals training with the Unshakable Man and Tim, not Chris Wilson, Ben, Chris, Lundell, Brian, and Mike, and myself. We are that group, right? We are a group of men who have been through this experience together, and that is something to celebrate. And tonight's theme is celebration, appreciation, and commitment. So right off the bat, I want you to simply recognize the felt sensation on and in your body of being able to appreciate the sense of celebration on and in your body. Okay, and we're going to go more in depth on why we physically practice celebration techniques in this community and in this work. But I also just want to jump into appreciation that we can't think our way to this experience. We cannot think our way to this experience. And the mind, the intellect, plays this tricky game where we read books, we watch movies, we watch YouTube videos, right? And just right now, I'm remembering this awesome, there's all of this awesome research on people who watch YouTube videos of how to make things, and the same part of the brain fires off as if you actually were making it. And then you think that you're actually capable of doing what this person is doing with all of this practice, but you're getting the dopamine spurt without actually doing the activity. So then when you go out to actually try to do something, you can't make it through because it doesn't feel the same way. It doesn't feel the way that it actually feels on and in the body to step into discomfort, right? And we as a group of human beings, as a group of human beings who identify as male, who choose to be open-hearted leaders, we're choosing to work on ourselves, right? We've stepped into this space. And for every one of the men who have stepped into this space, there are 100 who make a judgment, who have a story in their head or an insecurity or a fear from that comes up on and in their body from a real experience that's actually happened to them where being in a group of men was not safe. Because I do not want to discount that, right? And it's the physical experience happening in and on your body that you can appreciate. Only you can appreciate that feeling. Right? I'm reminded of last week when we got deep into being with, and we talked about how to tell a man, when you said that, I felt connected, and this is what the experience is inside my body. And to notice the tendency to project and to say, I know what you're feeling. Right? I know what you're feeling because of a story in my head and an experience I had, which is projection. It immediately disconnects us, right? And we don't even know it. But if we have structure and we move through a process together where we can be in our space in relationship with another man, and we can deepen our own experience. If Ben can ask me a question and come into my space like you did so well this week, right? You brought energy in this month, you brought your energy into the space and you asked me a question, you took up space in the room, right? You're helping me go deeper into myself. Outside of this space, we would call that being somebody's tour mentor, right? When your partner is your tour mentor, they're mentoring you through torment. They're helping you find places inside that need your care and attention. But in this space, we have, Ben, you're not my partner. You're my brother. You're a man who has shown up in my life for your own self. You've taken responsibility. Tim, you as well, not to just pressure you out too much, Ben, right? Mike, Lundell, Brian, Chris. Yeah, what's that physical sensation? Right? Right? And we're all here with a purpose. Like, this is our purpose. It's not to be friends. It's not to be buddies. It's not to achieve success in life. Right? I'm so sorry about that notification. I don't normally get any notifications on this computer. I turned them all off and that disrupted me.
I don't even know what you're talking about because it didn't come through on our side.
Oh, well, great. It'll be in the audio though. But anyways, celebration, appreciation, and commitment. And we celebrate in order to build to pierce through the autonomic response to qualify or to shut down or to judge what is happening in our life. The autonomic response, oh, I did 1 push-up, but I didn't do 10, but I didn't do 100. That's automatic. It's not you that's doing that. It's a part of us that's protected us through judgment. It helps us feel safe. But when we learn how to celebrate as a group of men, right? Where in our culture of manhood that we talked about in week 2, it's not in our culture to cheer ourselves on, right? But cheering ourselves on is not giving everybody a trophy. And I want to make that very, very clear, right? You know, the thing of everybody gets a trophy for participating. Internal celebration is not external validation. Internal celebration, when I celebrate for myself, it's not external validation. It's not Lundell saying, hey, Chris, I'm going to validate you. It's coming from the inside. And the more we embody this, the better we get at it as a skill. And we reinforce it in our community. And this is something to celebrate. And then to recap, that felt appreciation, the ability to appreciate what this experience was like, and then to leave this space and go out into your life. It's the experience that changes us from the inside out. And that brings me to commitment, honoring our commitment. This is not about my desire to want any of you guys to stay in this community. I want to be very clear about that. What this is about honoring expressing your commitment, whatever it is, to this work. Practicing the masculine penetrative presence, right? To be able to step forward and say, this is me. This is who I am. This is what you can expect from me. And when I just did that, I felt like a shiver down my arms and up the back of my ears. And I noticed I hold my body. I'm like, this is who I am. This is what you can expect from me. And when I say that, when I put it out into the space, it allows others to organize around me. And so many of us have learned to shy away and to undercommit and to not make any commitments, which is in a way like I float, right? We float around. And others, in other ways, we've adapted to overcommit, to make commitments when we don't need to make a commitment. We get to commit to the thing that is specific, that we can actually attain, that we can actually do. And then we can stay in integrity. And that's why practicing this in a group with a group of other men is so powerful. It's so powerful. And the last piece here that I want to add in that I haven't put it in the past things is around integrity and accountability. Okay, so integrity and accountability. Right? Integrity comes from the words in and tangere, which means in touch. Okay, in touch. So when I am in integrity, I am in touch with myself. When I am out of integrity, I am disintegrated. I am separating myself into pieces. Okay. And then the words that we say are how we communicate to the world. And it's called generative language. It's I will, I'm going to, I want to, I shall. You can expect from me. These words create a potential future reality in the minds of myself and the listener. So when I say, I am here, I will be here, I will show up in this group to one of these men in the space, to you guys, I create a potential future reality where that is true. And so if I don't do it, if I shy away from it for no matter what it is, no matter why, doesn't matter if it's a good reason or a bad reason, I exist then in a state disintegrated. And my words mean less. Okay. One of the fastest ways to overcome this and to realign your integrity is to simply acknowledge it. And that's why when we're in a group, we ask men to acknowledge what they're making in their life that's more important. It's not that you show up in the group that really matters. What matters is that you let the group know. You let the men in the space know that you can't be here and that what's more important in your life. Dinner with my fiance tonight is more important than being in the men's group. I just maintained my integrity. Instead of shying away from it. And what is the emotion that causes us to shy away from it but shame? And when we practice this together in this group, our nervous systems get better and better at handling this. It becomes easier to maybe do this with your boss, right? Or to do this with your partner, right? Or your family members, our mothers or our fathers who expect from us on the holidays. And then this brings me to accountability. Accountability is a big part of this work. As you leave this space, as you leave this group, maybe you start your own men's group, maybe you exist in another group. And what happens in an accountability buddy partnership, if I say to Brian, I want you to hold me accountable, to call me up and hold me accountable for something in my life. I'm going to do my stretch and I want to bring it back to the group and reflect on it next week. What I'm saying is Brian, our relationship is important to me. And for me to come back to this relationship whole, I need to do what I say I'm going to do. It's integrity. Right? What's actually most important, and this is the difference on the outside, is what many men who have not been brought into this work in an open-hearted way is we see accountability as force. We look at it as I am going to strive, I'm going to tighten and push against the world, and it has to constantly be fueled up. and you can feel it as tension on and in your body. You can see it in those relationships. They can be very intense. But what's most important in an accountability partnership, in the accountability formation, is not that you do what you say you're going to do. What actually is most important is that you come back to the space to acknowledge when you did or didn't do it. That you move through the shame of not doing what you said you were going to do, to acknowledge the reality. And when you can do that, when you can come into this space and say, hey, Brian, I didn't do what I said I was going to do, but I did do this, right? I now create the opportunity to be received, to be called up, right? But so many of us don't get that opportunity as young men. So many of us. And that's why we celebrate when a man returns, because we're celebrating that. We're conjuring up that, we're acknowledging how big a deal it is to move through shame and be guilty, to just be like, oh, I didn't do the thing I said I was going to do, instead of carrying it. How many of us here can identify with the experience of carrying something, knowing something small you haven't done? Exactly. And then you feel an energetic relief when you just get it done, right? Just kill it. The manifestation in your mind is so much bigger, right? And that's how, as open-hearted leaders, as unshakable men, we start to be able to actually do more in our life as we heal these protective parts, because we're not actually fueling up our protective parts to take on more. And this is something that I will say I have felt fully in this work, in leading and being a part of this community. Londell, did you want to jump in? Yeah, I'm finished. So that was I'm done talking forever. It's good to be here.
I wanted to question or put another side to the accountability / integrity piece that I don't know if some of us are battling or have had to battle. So I'll just speak for myself. Who else can I speak for? That in my life, I have not only has accountability and integrity been something has been shame driven, it's also been fear driven, because of the way in which men in my life, uncles, my stepfather, male teachers, gym teachers, how they have had used their perceived masculine fortitude, for lack of better words, to say, well, this is what a man does, and if you're a man, then you're going to do this, and you're going to do it, and if I didn't do it, it was, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you do this? And so it was shame for not having done so. Yeah, exactly. And it was fear of shame, saying that I either didn't do it or I couldn't do it. And then there was no room left for me to accept the reality of what was going on and be gentle with myself. And so it fed into this negative inner dialogue that told me, or that enforced within me, that I was less of a man, I was not a good person, I was a failure, I couldn't be depended upon, and so on and so forth. So for me, in conjunction with all that you've said, Chris, I just wanted to highlight for myself that fear has played a huge part in sustaining the emotions of shame and embarrassment, quite honestly, because that's another layer of, if I didn't do it, then I was going to be embarrassed in front of my peers or other men for not having done or followed through.
Thank you, Wendell. And being gentle with myself. I heard you say that in there twice, and what I notice is that the more powerful we are, the more tender we are, the more capable we are of being soft and being sensitive. And being sensitive is a good thing, because then we're actually able to connect with the environment. We're able to write the words on the page that create our masterpiece. We're able to design that needs to be made for our work. We're able to be with our kids, right? We'll be able to empathize with our partner instead of projecting. But I really appreciate you bringing in the fear, because when I come into my own experience with shame, when the shame monster can't be processed and I get jettisoned up into my head, that's fear, right? What's going to happen? And then automatic negative thinking, and destructive thought patterns, catastrophization, right? Everything that's up in the head, and then we're disembodied. And there's a whole bunch of masculine archetypes, right, that we can look to, immature masculine archetypes these aggressive connotations of what it means to be a man that we see outside of these spaces. But what I want to point out is that when we read books like Shogren Trungpa's work on the I believe it's the open-hearted warrior, says the warrior is tender and sad so that he doesn't become brittle, so that he doesn't hurt those around him and pass on pain to others, that the tenderness and the sadness allows him to connect with the world. And so I empathize with all those men that you talk about, Lundell, and I empathize with them, noticing that, wondering if they had feeling that they didn't have this. Did they go through this in their life? My dad didn't have this. Okay. Do you guys want me to turn off the recording to move forward for the rest of the evening, or would you like to keep it on for?
Can I comment on? Can I comment on accountability?
Yeah.
Our discussion, your presentations, Chris got me thinking about that, and then I was listening to Lundell about the different adjectives he would use about accountability and fear and all. And it made me realize that under the umbrella of men's work and TUM, I have developed what you helped me determine 2 years ago as a best friend. And this best friend is also in recovery. And he has, I have a list of things to do. I probably like about 40 things. I mean, in terms of self-improvements, fixing things, but like if I just stick to the top 8 things that I need to do that keep me alive. This friend, Dave, holds me accountable on every single one of them. And he does it in such a gentle, non-critical, patient way. It's just methodical. And it's I've never had that before in my life. I've had everything but that type of positive, constructive, and if I don't follow up on something, there's never any criticism attached, never any shame attached to it. It's just like, okay, look, and then we move on from there. So I do credit my comfort, my TUM comfort, hanging out with honorable men to have helped me get to this point. And that's what I had to say. Thank you.
Brian, as you mentioned comfort, and as Ben stretches out like this, and I saw Mike lean back in his chair, and the cat was there. Cosmo, right? Comet. No,
Quantum.
Quantum. What a good cat name. And Lundell mentions being gentle. I want to bring in one saboteur, which for me is a protector that holds me back. Right. And I want to have it to talk about this. The saboteur to me says, what if I get too gentle? What if I come in here and feel so connected with you men? I feel like I learn to give myself what I need. And will I somehow not take action in my life? Like, do I need to take action in my life? Like, if I'm right, like if I just keep coming into this place, almost like to be like, I don't know what the word is, but aggressive about it. Like,
Yeah.
this word just came into my head, but just, circle jerk.
Yeah. We're all
Rondell, right?
Okay.
Like what do you guys say to that? After being in here, how do you speak to that saboteur that says,
Okay.
be
If,
gentle?
if I could go again, okay. My thought is that it's pretty basic. Is that on the surface, in our interaction, that's superficial, but on this, the initial interaction with people, the one that gives people impressions, gives them comfort or discomfort, we need to be as kind and gentle and thoughtful as possible. And just because that's the way we interact in general, day to day, 24/7, doesn't mean that we're not steely underneath. And I just got it about the idea of a safe space versus a brave space, because if it's just a safe space, we won't become steely. We won't have that underpinnings, undergirding to the vulnerability.
To call a man up?
Yeah.
You mean?
Oh yeah. In terms of just being able to, like, for me, it's a matter of, like, when somebody more or less asks me a tough question, gives me a challenge, it makes me think hard and think thoroughly and question myself. And it makes me a little bit stronger because I have thought through things, And so again, I go back to the original point. Most of the time, unless other things are called for, we can interact with people in a kind of gentle way, with and if we have the self-confidence as men that we are strong and that we can take whatever comes of the other people's reaction to the way we present ourselves, then we're fine.
Thank you, Brent. Does
Yeah.
anybody else want to come in?
I think for me, Chris, it ends up being a question of trust, that I'm not the only person that's seeking things like this in the world. And it's something that's missing from a lot of men's lives. And if I take the opportunity to make an attempt to connect with anybody around me in that way, that they're just as, the word's not empty, they are just as void of those experiences as I have been prior, in the past, of making those gestures, and to be a more open and welcoming and enjoyable and positive and forward thinking person, right? And I honestly, it's funny because I can't think of an instance where it came back to kind of affect me in a negative way.
Mhm.
Every time that I can think of trying to do this, and not trying, but doing it, right? And just saying, yep, I'm going to make that connection. Every time I've made that connection and attempted to make that connection, it's always been met with positivity and reflection and connection in return. It's never been met with abrasiveness. It's never been met with, well, I don't want to, it's never been met with hesitation, right? Anytime I've ever taken the opportunity in the space that I can see to bring someone into this world that I inhabit now with my mentality and the way that I look at the world and the way that I connect with other men, it's never been an instance where it's been met with negativity, fear, in a bad way. Fear in a good way is different than fear in a bad way, right? Fear of the unknown versus fear of something that's truly scary. Brutality, which can, and there are many men who try to open up to other men and they are not ready for it, and it's met with some sort of aggressiveness or brutality. I've never experienced that myself. But it's always been met with something of a retort of positivity instead of a closing off or a rejection.
Yeah.
Solely because I think that this is something that our society is lacking, incredibly lacking. And that, like Brian said, that space, right? That's not the safe space, right? There's enough safe spaces for men in sports and masculinity, right? I think aggressive masculinity is a very safe space to be as a man in our culture and our society, as opposed to
aggressive masculinity is a safe space for men to be in our society. What does that mean to you?
I just, you see it all over the place with with alpha male. Like I grew up playing sports, and I grew up in a sports related kind of area, and that kind of, and not against anybody here who drives a truck, but large truck, the guns, the that no room for error kind of mindset, right?
Yeah. I notice my own projections onto things that I see, right? Different men's groups, and the word, and I appreciate how you shared that. That's a safe space to be. And it's from that place to connect this to the, first of all, I just want to check in. Do you guys identify with that saboteur? Do any of you guys, am I the only one? Okay, like if I'm too gentle, just to check in with you guys, are you raising your hand to, if I'm fully gentle, if I fully open, if I become sensitive, and if I relax, and like these words, right? This effervescent quality. If I do this, somehow something will go wrong. Like I won't, right? And I want to appreciate that together tonight, right? Because there's something very special happening for me with you men here tonight that I want to appreciate. And that's that to feel that, and then to see Chris, to see you shake your head and go like this, and Ben, like I could feel it in the front of my body. And it's constant. It's a residue. And in my experience, what I'm learning to do with you men and over group to group, and my own practice with myself and with you men, is to learn to relax through that and to trust myself, right? And the more that happens, the more that story in the head sometimes comes back. But then it's almost as if the more open, the more skilled I have to be. I have to find more tender, more attuned ways to move through those anxieties, right? And that is almost like unbelievable. Like it's I think what Mike would say is it's on the path, or you're never not on the path, is what Mike would say. Yeah. Yeah, Ben, please, sir.
First, I wanted to say that over probably the past like 5-10 minutes, I've noticed like myself struggling with following the conversation and the shares, because it felt very just like very heady and intellectual to me. Because when I heard, or because I was trying to connect, what others were sharing with your original question, kind of when you first brought up this saboteur, and what I heard from that question was this element of like not like showing up in these spaces, being tender, but then still like not taking action outside of it. And I was relating to that, or I relate to that in feeling that experience of showing up in these spaces, practicing this work, and gaining this experience through practicing this, but then also not living it fully in life outside of this space or outside of these spaces. And so like the feeling for me was like almost like a need to embrace that saboteur, because when you first posed that question, there was this question of like doubt that came up, like can I still take action if I show up tenderly and vulnerably in these spaces? And I noticed myself just like, I feel like I've experienced that of that, being here, but then not living up fully to it, outside of it. Yeah.
I feel connected to that, Ben. I feel so connected to that.
Yeah. I feel disconnected from that last thought. I actually find that I'm able to live day to day with the principles that I've learned here. And maybe I'm living in a rarefied environment, but yeah, I do that.
Brian, do you mind if I share what meaning I make in my mind when you say that?
Please, sure.
Ben, do you mind if I?
Please.
What I see in this is that Ben and I aren't yet in our king stage, right? And that you're an elder in this group, and you're at a stage in your life where you've earned that, where you've gotten to where you've gotten.
Yeah.
Right? And that is and that's the context, that's the meaning I make in my mind, right?
Right. If I could, my message here is that that light that you younger guys see at the end of the tunnel is real. And I didn't want too much time to pass before for me, this is again my deal, where I am, what Timothy, part of what Timothy said earlier, because I think it was quite frankly fucking brilliant, and I'm going to remember it. It may be obvious to the rest of you guys, but what if I got it right, Timothy? What you said was that idea that hyper macho masculine folks, guys, can are in a safe place, and I just made me really think hard about that. That caused my brain to work and to wrap around that idea, and just how like it's like whoa, it just to me it evokes the idea of this world that that many of men around us build for themselves, which is isolated from anything that I may value now. And so that was cool. Thank you for that, Timothy.
I wanted to just state, while I do agree with all that's been said, and I guess what comes up for me in wondering if I can be too gentle with myself in a space, is the space in which I'm being vulnerable and allowing the gentility to be expressed. Because I don't, outside of, there are other communities in which I can put myself and be tender and loving to myself. And then it becomes codependent, it becomes self-sabotaging. Yet in spaces like we are now, where I can be gentle with myself, be vulnerable, back to the term of a brave space, I can be held accountable. And the accountability is with care and is with love, and it's delivered in a way that feeds me, and gives me the strength to question myself, about how I'm going to be in account with myself, how I'm going to be in account with others, how I'm going to be in integrity with all of the same. So for me, I wanted to highlight that I don't want to, there is a possibility that being gentle with myself in a space that doesn't challenge me, but in a positive, affirming way, can, for me, be not a healthy place, whether safe or not, but just not a healthy place for me to grow.
Destructive versus constructive.
Mhm.
I'd like to add on to that with what's kind of been coming up for me after that question was asked is, am I going to soften too much for the real world as I step into society, a place where aggressive masculinity is safe, and to be gentle with myself and to be sensitive and to be all of these things that I know I am? I don't really feel like I can bring that to work. I don't feel like I can bring it into these different family environments that I have, without being, maybe attack's not the right word, but for being called everything that we came up with in week 2.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe that's where the steeliness comes up and the resolve within
Ooh.
myself to know that.
Ooh, I love that word.
That I-
Steeliness.
I don't know, but I just wanted to build
Chris,
on what
can
Londell
I
said, and
share
that's
what
what.
my word was before you said that?
Huh.
Fierce. Fierce.
Hmm.
It does require fierceness to show up in our life open and to notice when we shut, right? And when I hear you say that, I feel caring and compassionate and sad. And then I feel joy about being able to feel that. And I come back to open it, right? Like it's and I feel so connected to what you and Ben have both shared about bringing this work out of the space into our lives. Specifically for me, when I hear you say that, it's around the intersect between surrender and intention. So I can surrender to my life here in this space. I can surrender to any and all emotions, being open and available. But then there's always a paradox between a duality between surrendering and having an intention, wanting my day to go a certain way, or creating a desire to create this, to get a men's group to come together, right? To send an email, to write a book, to like have a certain experience with my partner. And that creates tension of like, and having to hold that lightly. Also, and it is a constant yoga. It is not a one size fits all approach. It's like the work of a lifetime to be able to learn to work with your coworkers, right? Work with yourself in relationship to what you just said, if that makes sense. No? Not
I
really.
guess I don't totally see the connection between the surrender and the intention.
So that's a Dr.
I mean, we don't have to get into that now. That feels a bit more heady
Yeah.
than I want to get into.
Is it? Is it though? Because guys, that's everything we're doing here.
I don't know.
All of
Chris, could I ask Chris a question?
yeah.
Not you, Chris, but
Yeah.
Garcia,
What's up?
Chris. Yeah. One of the things that I being somebody who connects with that from an anxiety level, right? When you say something like, when you talk about the future and what the outcome of your action might be, for me, it enhances my natural anxiety, which is forward thinking. It's always forward thinking and planning, right? And one of the things that I worked on for years with my therapist was he calls it the fear of expectation versus the reaction to your existence. And it seems like that's kind of a forward thinking fear, as opposed to going into that space and being however you want to be and reacting to the result. And that's something that I struggled with personally for years, my whole life, until I came to the realization that I was always forward thinking and I was always pre-planning conversations and events and existence, right? What happens if I do this in this space and it's something that I don't like, or it's something that I'm afraid of? The thing that I'm afraid of happening happens.
Yeah.
And that reaction to your existence and how you want to be, regardless of whatever else happens around you, is a big part for me personally that I can see in you when you have that statement. Like with my family, with my office, with my coworkers, if I come into that space as this person that I am here, as opposed to the person I normally am there, what is the outcome of that? And is it something that I'm afraid of being the outcome I don't want? As opposed to being the person I want to be in that space and bringing that into that space where people aren't used to it, and just being that person and letting everybody else make their decisions and letting them react in whatever way they want to react. Right? It's that fear of expectation of what happens if I do this and it doesn't go the way that I'm perceiving it, that I want it to go. And that's probably one of the biggest things that drove me into so many places I didn't want to be for the longest time. Relationships, family expectations, jobs, my career. You know, I was in a marriage that was based exactly around that concept of, what if I say something or do something that ends up resulting in a fight, or her parents not liking me, or, you know, my parents not liking my decision.
Chris, are you feeling connected to that?
Yep. Hugely.
Yeah.
Hugely.
Yeah.
It's
So-
it's a choice. It's a choice of existence, right? That reaction to your existence.
So I want to, something that Chris Wilson said that very much resonated with me, and it revolves around this entire conversation. And I guess I have finally gotten to that stage in my life where, for lack of a better term, I really don't give a shit. So I am coming into myself and who I want to be and how I want to be in the world, regardless of where that world is. And so it's Chris, it's kind of what you said, is that, you know, I'm at that stage in my life where I can go be gentle, I can be sensitive in situations where I would have never done that before because of, Tim, to coin your phrase, is assertive masculinity. And I absolutely love that because it totally resonates with me and how I lived a lot of my life. Because I lived it in that safe space of assertive masculinity, even though it didn't feel right. It didn't feel
Who
good.
said assertive masculinity? Where did that come from? I didn't.
Isn't that what you said, Tim? Wasn't that the word? Wasn't that the word you used? What was it? What was aggressive masculinity?
Aggressive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm
Same
writing
difference.
that down.
There's a
That
big
is-
Writing
difference. There's a big difference.
He got what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Chris,
Aggressive slash.
How are you doing, Chris?
Me, I'm loving this. This is awesome. I feel open and connected to this. I think one takeaway I took from Mike there is the opposite of how you show up. You look for places where you could show up gently in places you wouldn't before. And I think for me, it's showing up with that fierceness in places that I haven't before.
Yeah, and I love that steely, fierce underneath, right? So it's there. But it's for you. It's not for anybody else.
Yeah, but it serves
Right?
everyone. It serves
Yes,
everybody.
totally. But it's for you. It's for me, right? That's what it's there for. And I really I still see that, Chris, what you call that part?
The saboteur.
Yeah, the saboteur. It's still there. It's here. It's with me. I mean, I still feel it. But I just, like I said, I just really don't give a shit about it.
The art of not giving a fuck.
The
Yeah.
subtle art. The subtle art of not giving a fuck.
So
The subtle art. Subtle is a very important portion of that,
Yeah, subtle.
right?
Yeah,
Art.
tender.
Yeah.
This is what we can only appreciate after doing this work together, gentlemen. Because you can't think your way here. You have to feel it. It's sensual on and in our bodies. And this, when we leave this space tonight, we go out into our lives. I just hope that we all leave this space with my intention, not my hope. My intention is to plant this seed that it's not hard. It requires immense skill. Because when we say that it's hard, we make it hard, right? It's that the world is the way the world is. It requires an immense amount of skill, the skill of a lifetime, as we're seeing here in this space with men sharing this, to be able to learn to open and to stay open and to not shut, right? And the fact that we're even doing this work is the work of changing ourselves to pass on to others, right? And you can only get this by hanging out in a group with another group of human beings. They don't have to be male, right? But you got to go through this experience together to appreciate this. So, shall we get grounded? And when everybody's ready, Chris, you want to say something?
There's one more thing I want to touch on that was kind of a lightning rod for me.
Yeah.
Was when you talked about saying that it's not important that you didn't do what you said you were going to do. It's that you showed back up and that you have the space to work through that shame. Because in regards to accountability, like that's something I've shamed myself on time and time again. of like, fuck, I didn't do what I said I was going to do again. Like, all right, back down the hill. And I haven't totally known how to approach that in stretches that we do in this community, or even conversations with friends. But knowing that I can shift my perspective to like, hey, we'll get there, but what's important to me is that you showed back up. We can talk about this. We have this space again.
Chris, when you said we'll get there, like, yeah, we will, but we actually don't have anywhere to go. Because the minute you arrive in the space, you acknowledge, you go from shame to guilt. You say, I didn't do this thing. You're now back in integrity. And when you start to feel good about that, when you start to realize like, wow, I make this call, I show up and I do this thing, I can sit in this. Look at that breath you just took, right? I felt a shiver come down my ears, right? That's resonant. That's fierce. And then in our experience, we might not have had people that had the skill to meet us there, right? In our life. But with me, if you did that with me, I would be like, awesome. And then you get the opportunity to restate what you want, your thing. And that's going from surrender to intention again, right? That's going back in to the flow, and it goes back in a circle, right? Not to get us too far into the thing.
Chris Garcia, I just want to give you some props. The fact that you're aware of your conscious decision in those spaces, and you're already aware of the space that the change in your mental shift has put you in, is the steps to doing what you want to do and being in that space that you want to be in. The fact that you're even aware of it, like I go into these spaces with my family and there's something that I want to do that I'm not ready to do yet, that's the first step to being that in that space, who you want to be, where you want to be, doing what you want to do. Nobody does it automatically. It doesn't just come to people. You don't just step into that space unless you're, the person who.
Unless it didn't matter.
Right. And to you personally.
Exactly.
So that's the fact that you're there already is huge, because you're aware of it, consciously aware of it, not subconsciously aware of it.
Thanks.
So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Wow, gentlemen. We can riff. We're going off schedule, but I love it. I love it.
Aren't you glad you kept the recording going?
I am. If you don't mind, I'd like to just keep it going because this is a beautiful group. And
Yeah, I agree. I think we're particularly profound tonight.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. All right. Shall we begin getting grounded? Does everybody remember our 3 agreements? Can I get a hand raise? Crafting our alliance. Awesome. All right. So go ahead and just take your eyes off the screen. Just if you want, just find something in the space to look at, something that you can appreciate. And then once your eyes find something, see if you can see it for being something else. So I just found a sock and I'm noticing it for all of the other things that it is right now. Just a beautiful awareness game to start to come back in to our bodies. We've been sitting for a while, so I'll just invite you guys to look over your left shoulder and turn your eyes all the way to the left. Really just to that spongy space where you can hardly see anymore, and hold it. And then come back to the center. Wow, Siri thinks I'm talking to her. What a night. 2 interruptions. It's never happened before. All right, now back to the other side. And turn your eyes all the way to the side. Oh. And then bring your head to the center. And then just start to, if you found your seat, appreciate that you have one. And then we're gonna let our eyes shut and then start to come into the body. You can inhale in and out of your nose, or in your nose and out your mouth. We're just gonna track through the body, inhaling inner nose and outer mouth, starting from our big toe. Go ahead and just pick your left big toe and feel into your left toe. And then moving up to the bottom of your left foot. Allowing yourself to feel the subtle sensations on and in your body. And to use those to bring your awareness through your body. Notice your tendency to visualize. And then coming up from there to your ankle, your shin. And if your body wakes you up with tension anywhere in your body while we're moving, just let it go. Just become more and more relaxed. Coming up to your knee. And the inside of your thigh. And the outside of your thigh. And then your groin, your pelvic girdle. And just letting both legs turn on completely. Just breathing into your whole lower body below your waist. And then coming up to your navel, your belly button, your lower back. Coming up to your mid back. And slowing this down, slow it down. Let your body wake you up. And then the front of your abdomen. And coming up to your chest and your heart. And allow the back to come awaken, upper back. The whole body's breathing right now. Inside your left armpit, your left shoulder. And your right shoulder. And just allow your awareness to come down your arms. If you notice any twitching on your body, anything, any tension, just breathe in and let it go. Completely relaxed. And feeling into both of your hands. And coming up to your neck, to the front of your neck. And your jaw. And then bringing your ears over your shoulders. Back of your neck. And releasing the muscles around your eyes. And your forehead. And just appreciating what it's like to come into the body. And just notice, is it smiling? Body smiles. And now that we're in here, go ahead and just inhale it in your belly, exhale, pulling your belly in. We're just going to breathe down into the ground for 3 breaths. Connecting that space inside of you to the space outside of you, realizing that you're natural. You're fundamental, you're a part of the world, of the universe. And you don't have to do anything to exist. Breathing down into the ground. Relaxing completely. And when you feel secure, having rooted down into the ground, now you get to breathe up from the ground into your belly. We'll do 6 breaths. Pouring your energy and awareness down into your belly. See if you can feel something in there, something to experience. Let it be bright. Three. 4. Noticing your head and neck and your back, its desire to lift. 5. And then last breath, 6. How amazing is it to just be able to be here now? And when you feel ready, you come back into the space, take your time. The music of my space was beautiful. Whoever would like to start us off, first round check-in.
This is Benjamin checking in. I notice two blinds swaying the most of all the blinds on my porch. See the fan spinning above me. And I see an empty bottle of balsamic vinegar. Physically in my body, I notice pressure in my forehead. Feel the air leaving my nostrils as I exhale. I feel warm and tingly in my fingers. Emotionally, I feel calm. I feel disagreeable. And I feel proud. This is Benjamin checking in, passing it on to Londell.
Thank you, Benjamin. Excuse me. Thank you, Benjamin. Around me, I see two lights over the bathroom sink. I see the thermostat on the wall. And I see empty food containers from tonight's dinner. Physically, I can feel the cold air on my skin. I feel tension in my neck, as well as tightness in my shoulders. Emotionally, I feel feisty. I feel deliberate. And I feel pensive. This is Londell checking in, and I pass it over to Mike.
Thank you, Londell.
Thanks, Londell. I'm Mike and I'm checking in. See a copper cup in front of me. I see the starburst pattern on the lights above and behind Chris. And I see Londell in a new place that I'm not used to. In my body, my feet are clammy. I feel my cat's tail swishing against my legs. I feel a warm, reddish feeling in my left pectoral muscle. Emotionally, I'm feeling strange. I'm feeling giddy. And I'm feeling surreal. I'm Mike and I'm checking in, and I'll pass it over to Tim.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you. Can see the post-its underneath my computer. The water bowls in the corner for my dog. And the lights on the river outside my apartment. Physically, I can feel the tension in my left shoulder, my neck, left foot kind of grinding into the carpet underneath me, just grounding down there. I can taste the spice in my beverage, in my tongue a little bit. Emotionally feeling preserved, uncoordinated, and giving. I will pass it to Brian.
Thank you, Timothy. So Brian checking in. I noticed my set of dumbbells on the floor. I noticed the blank TV screen. I see a series of fall or autumn coats hanging up by the door. Physically, I feel out of pain. My body's tired. I feel some acid reflux in my chest. So I guess there is some pain and pain. And emotionally, I am feeling satisfied, complete for today. See what tomorrow brings. Brian checking in, over to Chris.
He loves to ask which one.
We'll flip
It's
a
you,
coin.
Chris. I'll go just so I'm not last. I'm Chris. I'm checking in. I notice Chris's bright white smile. I notice the plant behind me in the screen. My story in my head about it being my favorite. And notice the lights of the city and the Golden Gate Bridge. Physically honoring my body. I just release tension in my jaw. I feel a pulsing sensation in my belly. And my face feels free and flexible. Emotionally, I feel caring. I feel creative, and I feel peaceful. I'm Chris, and I'm checking in, passing it on to Chris.
Thanks. This is Chris checking in. Notice a mark on my wall. Notice the red cap on a bottle. And I noticed the rooster in the painting behind Brian. In my body, I feel sensation in my lower back. I feel dryness on my lips. And I feel my right pinky resting gently on top of my chair. Emotionally, feeling relaxed. I'm feeling grounded and feeling giddy. This is Chris checking in. Back to Chris.
Thank you, Chris. All right, gentlemen. Go ahead and just look around the room, take in the face of a man on the screen.
Did everybody go? Londell, did you give it a second? Did you check in? Ooh, I'm in. I didn't even just like right out. Yeah.
Yeah, good to have you here too. All right, go ahead and take in the face of a man on the screen. And as you do that, relax your face. And then take in the face of another man on the screen, relaxing your face. Allowing yourself to open. And now allow yourself to receive. And now switch and do both at the same time. Be open and receive. No looking at yourself. All right, guys. Just invite everybody to take one breath in your nose together. And the floor is open. I'll leave it up to you to share what are you celebrating from going through this experience, or just what are you celebrating and what are you appreciating? That's our prompt tonight.
This is Londell checking in.
I've got you, Londell.
Thank you. What am I celebrating and what am I appreciating? I'm celebrating that there's this space, and that I'm in this space and I'm a part of this space. I often don't give myself leeway or credit to feel comfortable in a space of men, particularly those that I don't know. And I celebrate the joy that I receive from sharing this virtual space with all of you. I appreciate the commonalities that we share and the differences we don't, which
What are you feeling right now, Londell? What was that?
I feel joyful and the word that was used again or used earlier, I feel giddy. I do feel just kind of giggly, like I'm being tickled, and I don't know. I just kind of feel great. I feel, as I look around these Hollywood squares and I see the faces, I'm joyful. I'm yeah. I acknowledge that I'm witnessing something larger than myself, something that I probably both understand and don't comprehend. And that has been kind of the tone for today, quite honestly, here in this strange place called Albuquerque, New Mexico. And beyond this, I celebrate the callings and the call tos from my higher power today. I got into some really interesting discussions that I just never thought I would be having with a complete stranger, just by chance. And
Look at that smile. It's awesome.
yeah, at one point I just wanted to cry because it was a very joyful feeling. I was very grateful. Yeah. So that's that. So with that, I am in. Should I pass it, or are we volunteering ourselves?
Lundell, I have a reflection for you.
Okay.
Okay. Just chiming in with a reflection. More of a thank you, actually. Thank you for bringing your softness and ease and poise to the space and to this fundamentals training. I notice every time we interact, I feel more comfortable. It's a very cool thing to recognize. It's something I appreciate. That's it. Chris checking in with my reflection. Did your screen just freeze? Oh no.
Uh-oh. He'll be back.
Zoom can't handle the vibes. Just invite everybody to take a soup breath, soft inhale in your nose, just savoring the air.
I'll go next.
Got you.
Thank you. This is Benjamin checking in. From the beginning of this call, it became apparent to me, and I've noticed this before, but it just in talking about appreciation and celebration, how just as important it is for me to actually feel those things in my body versus just saying it and just saying the words. So I want to take this opportunity to really feel into both, feel the appreciation of whatever I'm going to share and the celebration of whatever comes up. I want to celebrate all of the times that I have allowed myself to slow down and feel, to slow down and feel everything, feel what I don't want to feel. And a lot of that is usually anger, sadness, and yeah, I just really want to celebrate myself for the ways in which that I've created that space for myself over the past few years in particular, especially during COVID and now living on my own. What I appreciate I appreciate people that continue to show up for me. People that both show up for me and show up for themselves, and that just model what it means to be selfish and be from a healthy place. That shows me how that I'm important as well. And I greatly appreciate those models in my life. And they're in this room. This is Benjamin checking in, celebrating and appreciating.
Thank you.
Benjamin.
Go for
If
it.
I could observe something, Ben, I'm reluctant to say this only because I don't want to embarrass myself, but among the times you've slowed down and really created real insight into who you are the two times I remember you when you talked about sex and sexuality, that it was like this, it was like, holy shit. It's like, it just reminds me of like when I was a young man. And it's like, it was like really cool, and I think you had to be slow and focused in order to do that. And I think that's, for me, it's something worth celebrating.
Thank you, Brian.
You got me. I'm Chris.
I got you.
You could just throw on 5 minutes.
Hold them to it.
Yeah. I'm celebrating the dance of the creative process and getting to share in that process with Mike and Londell, having you both here. It's just been so challenging and beautiful to witness myself and thinking what something needed to be, and then seeing the reality, and then getting to engage that on that with you too. And it's not, for me, it's I'm going to use this word manifestation. It's a manifestation of like the world. Like it just feels nourishing and real and creative. And Mike, I just heard your voice say that in my head. And to be here with you, men, to be here with you, Ben and Chris, leading your group and hearing from men in the community about being in your group. Tim, getting your presence here in the fundamentals and just the way you just brought just your vibe to this space. It's like you've been in this group with me for 2 years. And Brian, the elder of fundamentals for me. It's I couldn't have thought my way here. And I think that that's what makes this such a celebration. And I appreciate how subtle this work is in my life, in how I treat myself. I had a memory that came up earlier, Chris, that I was sitting in this chair this past week, and I asked Anna to come in to talk to me about something, and I could just feel like the words that were going to come out of my mouth were such a subtle form of anxiousness that I never would have noticed in the past. Like, and I just like felt it, and she kind of just looked at me and was like, "What?" And just kind of was like, "Okay, I'm gonna go now," and just like walked away. And just feeling how that like I can handle this. But it's so far beyond words, and it is like a fierceness. I love that I can cry about that. I love that it just comes up. And sometimes I feel like I lose it. Like sometimes in my attempt to make this happen, I lose that connection to be able to cry. And I appreciate that. Yeah. And I appreciate how there's like all these messages in my head of like, men, this should be some other way, or like, and it's so not, doesn't align with how I feel. I'm Chris, and I'm checking in.
That breath looked like it felt good. I could feel that release.
Yeah.
Oh, you like the noise at the end there. Felt good. Like just that like it wasn't even like a sigh, it was like an aggressive like expansion. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It made me feel good virtually through a headphones and monitor.
Tim, don't you know by now that's what we're doing here?
I do.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Yeah, man.
It's wild. It's wild we could do this over the internet. It's absolutely wild.
When you shared, Chris, that you could cry about this, I felt proud. Felt really proud of you.
All right. I'll check in for a couple seconds. And Tim and I am checking in.
I got you.
I am going to celebrate my statement of strength from last week because I said it about 30 times, if anybody remembers. And it was totally natural and it just happened. And I found myself saying it internally
Yeah.
in times of both positivity and times of negativity equally. And that extends into this space, right? It extends internally. Sorry, it extends outwardly. It extends into this space. It retracts internally into me. Not in a bad way, not in like a reclusive way, but like a
Receptive.
warm. Oh yeah, like a warm kind of retraction into who I am and where I'm at. I spent a lot of time over the last couple of days, like going to live music and being in live spaces with a lot of different people, and it's something that I thrive in and I enjoy. And being able to just do that, I had a moment on Friday night where I was in, a club with a bunch of people and a live musician that I have seen a couple times and who's local to this area. It's like her hometown, and being in that space and being so just present and enjoying it. And it just like she was singing, it's all this stuff, and like it just clicked. And I said it like I had my partner, she was with me, and I just grabbed her and I said, I was like, I fucking love being here. I just like extended it beyond where it was, and she was like, yep, yeah. And it was cool to share that moment with her. And in that moment, I appreciated the fact that doing things like this, and as much as we make this about connecting with other men, which is important and pivotal to this work, it also allows me to connect with the women in my life in a way that they're not used to, in a way that they appreciate. And that's the side, that's like the bonus, right? It's like the I don't know if anybody here's a video game guy, but you played Sonic the Hedgehog back in the day. You had the regular levels and you got to the bonus levels, right? The game was the same. You got the bonus levels. And that's a fucking bonus level of all of this work. Is that we're men and we're here with other men and we're connecting with other men. And then you translate that into connecting with another woman. And they're like, and then you even build upon that and you connect with your partner in that way. And it's tenfold. And that's an appreciative part. And I appreciate that about everybody here. And I appreciate it about myself, right? That I've done that. Everybody says you got to do the work, but it's not work. It's not a job, right? And I appreciate it. I appreciate that it is equitable in spaces, whether it's even to go as far as my dog, like the animals in my life, spending and being present and being vulnerable and like enjoying the space that those other beings in my life exhibit. And, you know, there's lots of people here have cats and lots of people who have pets and have had pets, right? But I am so appreciative of that translation. And that's it's just it is overwhelmingly supportive, you know, of the decisions and the choices you make when you get into a space like that and you're able to do that and just be and exist and feel comfortable and expand out into the people and the places around you. And Tim, checking in.
Wow.
It's a good one. That felt good. I'm not gonna lie, that felt good.
Oh, good for you. Good being with you, Tim. Tim, my reflection for you is I so appreciate how you connect this isn't work, and then the bringing it to connect with your pets, right, and your partner, your girlfriend. Like, I mean, to me it's what we say when we say everyone and everything, but um it's just beautiful to hear that in your own words.
Yeah. It really starts as like a centralized core idea and then just unfolds into areas you don't even realize. That's the part. And I will say, Benjamin, when we were talking earlier, right? How we were kind of discussing that, you know, and Chris, we were talking about like spaces. Like I think Ben, it was like 2 weeks ago, right? You guys had both kind of exhibited that same concept of like, and I felt that, right? And the thing I can say is that when it starts to happen without you even realizing it, that's when you're there. Not There's no effort involved, and I have the utmost confidence and faith that both of you will reach that point way faster than you expect to, just because you're here, you're willing. You know?
Mm.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Just invite all of you to just let all the muscles in your face go. Just let them go. Still stay present and active, but just let any smile, the muscles around your eyes and your forehead and your ears, just let it go so you can just be fully present in your body. And the floor is open.
Mike checking in.
I've got you.
Thanks, Chris. I am celebrating a realization that I came to tonight. And that is the realization that I don't give a shit. And I think on some level I knew that, but it wasn't until tonight that I was able to embrace it. And for it to become a touchstone on how I want to live the rest of my life. So, now, what am I appreciative of?
What are you appreciating?
What am I appreciating? I'm appreciating all of you. And I'm appreciating all of you for the role that you've played in my journey to be a better human becoming. And your role in guiding me along my path. Because without your leadership, without your strength, without your vulnerability, your sensitivity, and your holding the space that allows me to be who I want to be, I couldn't do that. So, thank you, one and all. I'm Mike checking in.
Good work, Mike. Thank you.
Really like the idea of a touchstone and you returning to that.
Thanks, Chris. And just so you know, my this is crazy, but my vision of a touchstone is a little round piece of glass with a flower in it.
Got plenty. I'll send you one.
I don't think that's crazy. I think that's perfect.
There's something about you saying you don't give a shit, Mike, that just brings me complete and utter joy.
He says as he's wrapped in a giant white Afghan.
Yeah, I just
Making full use
Londell,
of
the vibe, Londell, that visceral vibe, man.
Not to take us to our, it's freezing in this room, this hotel, because it's in Albuquerque. It's not on, so it's freezing in here. But yeah, there's, Mike, when you first said it earlier that you've come to an age where you just don't give a shit. That really released something within me. And this is not about me, but it's the power of influence that that I feel that you have. There's just something about having heard your journey, having witnessed part of it and collaborating with you in it. I don't know, I can just feel, this sounds so wrong, but I can just feel you in me, just as a yeah, and I don't know how else to put it into words, but I really appreciate you for you being you.
Thank you, Londell.
when you said, when you ended with one and all, I felt that sense of like being connected, and there was a feeling of comfort and peace in you saying that, Mike. So thank you.
Thanks, Benjamin.
How many more do we have? 2?
Check in. This is
Sorry to point at you, Chris. I got you.
thanks. This is Chris checking in. I'm celebrating deepening my understanding and getting to experience it deeper, but just why we do what we do. So much of me from an intellectual place wanted to memorize and learn all of the agreements and the steps and how to do it right. And as I've gone through this group, even tonight, just really getting to feel all of the chills that I've gotten, like up and down my spine and around my ribs and down my legs, and just all of it. Really getting it, not just understanding it. And just celebrating all the little epiphanies along the way, even over this month. Tapping into that fierceness, right? Like the feeling of becoming my own person, my own man. And like Mike, when you said that, like, I just don't give a shit, I know that there's that part of me in there because it felt affirmed and it felt open and relaxed, and that I'm on the path to getting there. And just, I guess I'm celebrating all the progress that I've made. So, and I'm appreciating I'm appreciating that I'm celebrating myself, because that's fucking hard to do. Much easier to spread it around. Noticing tightness in my gut as I say that. Just appreciating that we have this space, that there are other guys, that I don't feel so fucking alone in this pursuit of connection, and appreciating this circle of support that I've been able to build out. When shit's hard, when shit's good, and it needs celebration, like having the space for both. Yeah. Truly appreciative of everybody on this screen. So thanks, guys. This is Chris. I'm checking in.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, man.
Because I appreciate how you said, noticing the wanting to get all the, knowing all the things, and Ben just affirming that, and then also a desire within me to be able to communicate that, right? And feeling that tension on and in my body, that desire. I feel tightness in my throat right now as I express that. But then a release when you made a distinction between the being in your head and feeling it, right? And the openness, the groundedness you had when you said it, it's just like, even we did it. We did it.
Chris, I will say that I sense a part of you that is striving for something different, just to be
Which Chris?
satiated and happy. Yeah, Garcia. And I will say that me personally here in the space that we exist, I very, very much enjoy who you are now and the person that you exist in this space.
Tim, that means a lot.
I
I
understand.
agree.
I do
Yeah.
I feel you that strive and that passion for growth and the passion for change. But I would like you to know that I appreciate who you are right now at this moment. And I enjoy the person that you are right now.
Thanks. That little part of me feels seen, or that younger part of me feels seen. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Noticing a story of my family and Chris, what you said about your dad not having these spaces, but really anyone in my entire family having a space like this on both sides, and appreciating that striving to be different. And even though I had no idea how I was going to get here, I found it. So just appreciating that too.
Hmm. Is that all of us, or did Brian just have to go? Brian's still here, but he hasn't checked out. Well, it's our first time going over time. It's probably because I went on a long spree in the beginning. But are you guys all okay to check out? Can we take, okay. So our checkout is tonight, we're gonna add on top of the three things we're feeling. So it's gonna be, my name is, and I'm checking out. I'm feeling blank, blank, and blank. And then what is your commitment? And I want, as I say it to this work, and I say this to you, not as an opportunity to practice stating your commitment, to hear it come out. And when you say it, when I say it, I think about, what is a man going to hear from me? Right? What do I want these men to hear from me? And I don't know what I'm going to say. And I have a feeling about it, a sensation about it, but right. And this is a practice. Okay. It's your commitment. All right. I'm going to go first. I'm Chris. I'm checking out. I notice I didn't say, can I go first? I said, I'm going to go first. And I feel firm. I feel grounded. And I feel joyful, giddy. This work is my calling. And I didn't find it, it found me. And you guys can expect me to be here in group every week in this community until I say that I won't be here. I'm Chris, and I'm checking out.
Are you passing it along?
I'll pass it on to you, Mike.
Thanks, Chris. I'm Mike and I'm checking out. I'm feeling resolve. I'm feeling joyous. And I'm feeling connection. And my commitment is to live my life in a manner that embodies what we do here every time we get together. I'm Mike and I'm checking out. And I will pass it on to Tim.
Thank you, Mike. I'm Tim and I'm checking out. I am feeling protective, excited, and clear. And my commitment is to remain present in my daily life outside of these spaces, to notice and be aware of anyone, people, persons, things that are in need of that energy, and whether it be a space or a moment, and to recognize that and embrace that and help cultivate that for other people without really trying, just to exist in that space and just, I'm not a manifest person, but to manifest it around me. Like I'm not necessarily that type of person, in an external world, but in an internal world, yes. So, yeah. Tim and I'm checking out, and I will pass it to Benjamin.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
This is Benjamin checking out. I'm feeling hopeful, feeling power, I'm feeling alive, and my commitment is to continue bringing myself back to this space, to this practice, and to allow those moments of stumbling, falling on my face, to welcome them with grace and to just get right back up and keep walking. This is Benjamin checking out. Pass it on to Chris.
Thank you, Ben.
Benjamin, this is Chris checking out. Feeling connected. Feeling open. And I'm feeling grounded. My commitment to the work is to continue to show up and to work on continually trusting myself and to building that relationship, to getting to the point where I don't give a shit anymore. But not hardening to that point, by staying open and connected, and like I said, just trusting me and that I can't do this wrong. This is just a process of exploration. This is Chris checking out.
Chris, can I challenge you to say that in a positive way instead of a can't?
Oh, I don't even know what I said. What did I say?
You said that I can't do this wrong.
Oh,
How would you say that positively?
I don't know, but I like it. So I think I'm going to stick with it.
Cool. I like it. Yeah, there you go. Nice.
Yeah.
There it is. All right.
I appreciate
Love
it.
it. I love it.
How's that feel? Looks like it feels pretty good.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, I love that. Chris, I love that. The force is strong. Just look around the room, gentlemen.
Londell, did you check out?
I have not. Thank you, Mike, and everyone else. This is Londell checking out. I feel centered. I feel love for each and every one of you. I feel committed. And that leads me to, what do I commit to this work? I commit to forward momentum and acknowledging what that is and living in it. I oftentimes come at this work from remembering about how I feel less than, how I'm in deficit of. And I'm kind of over that now. And so it's really about just living into this space and this person, this man that I have been working to become, why I came here, why I sit with all of you, because I feel as though I need to lead by example. And period. So with that, I am checking out.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, gentlemen, one last celebration to close out our first group for fundamentals.
Yay.
Such a pleasure getting to go through this experience with you, gentlemen.